Good morning, everyone. Here is Likuti Torah. We're beginning learning in Likuti Torah. Before learning, let us give charity as we do every day. We should accustom ourselves to give charity as much as possible. Charity will redeem the Jewish people. Charity saves us from all bad things. Okay. We're learning Likuti Torah. Likuti Torah, the Rebbe is telling us how to come to love God. And when we define God, it becomes a lot easier to love him. Because we're saying that God creates us and that God enlivens us and that God creates the whole world. God directs the whole world. God especially loves every detail. And the more we realize what God is, the more we'll realize how every detail is important in the world. And how we have to be involved in improving every detail in the world. And that was the job basically of the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple was a place where the Jews went 3 times a year and they felt how important this physical world is, how important every detail of the world is. Why? Because in the Holy Temple, they felt the Creator, and they realized that the Creator is creating everything. So the world is not just here on its own. The world is not here on its own. The world has a tremendous importance. It's being created, and God is creating it. What's this? Here we go. Oh. Okay, good. So the world, when we realize the world is a big creation and that God is creating it all the time, so then we see how important the world is. So then we come to love God. The more and more we can love God by thinking about the world. That's the love of Abraham. Abraham realized what God is and that God is creating the world and how infinitely good God is, how infinitely real God is. God is creating us, and God cares about us, and cares about every detail. And the more we realize what God is, the more we want to be involved in the world, because that's what God is involved in. That's Abraham. That's Abraham. What is, Abraham wanted everyone to realize what God is. That's what he wanted.
I went to a place on Central Avenue and Caronetta Avenue.
It's open.
You
You don't mind?
No, I'm going.
Okay. So, okay, that's the love of Abraham, which is not the case. Aaron. Aaron is a different type of love. Aaron is a love of God himself, not because of what God does, not because that God creates the world, that God is how important everything is, how wonderful everything is. Aaron's thing is to reveal godliness in the world. And this you can't do on your own. But Abraham's thing is to see how good God is. And Aaron's thing is to see how good, how the goodness of God is not revealed, to feel bad, to feel bitter. Not to see how good God is, but to see how much the world is lacking godliness. Intellectually, we can appreciate God, but the fact is the world is lacking the awareness of what God is. And that's Aaron's thing. That's Aaron's thing. Aaron's thing was working in the Holy Temple, not just receiving from the Holy Temple. Oh, excuse me. I'm still under the influence of, I got some sort of a flu or something. Okay. So Aaron's thing is to reveal godliness in the world, and that you can't do on your own. You can only do it by having a tremendous desire to improve the world, a tremendous desire to improve the world. And that the Rebbe calls bitterness. You're bitter because you realize that the reason that the world is not the way it's supposed to be is one person is at fault. One person. Who's that one person? Yourself. The whole world depends on yourself. And therefore, you're very bitter. That's what King David said. The whole day, tears were like bread for me. Because every day, everyone was saying, where is your God? Where's your God? Demos lechem. So he said, tears were like bread. What does it mean? That's the Torah. Bread is the Torah. And the way to continue this feeling, if I have to do something to make God revealed in the world, is by learning the Torah. First of all, you pray in the morning and you realize how good God is. But also how the world is lacking. Oh, what happened? Okay. How the world is lacking godliness. And that lacking of godliness makes you very bitter. Excuse me 1 second. Therefore, you have to precede what's called crying, a regular time for crying. What does that mean? Before you learn Torah, you have to feel, I am learning Torah because the world is in a terrible state, and it's in a terrible state because I'm not adding light. And just a little tiny bit of light can fix the whole thing up. So therefore, you learn Torah with this. How exactly this works, I don't know. How we exactly can make God respond, I don't know. In a big way, that's the idea of Mashiach. In a big way, that's the idea of Mashiach. Mashiach is going to be the answer for all of the prayers and all the bitterness and all the disappointments and frustration of the Jewish people for all these thousands of years that they've been wanting to live in a world where it's a good world. The world is good. I mean, you can't really, in a way, blame the anti-Semites, right? Because the job of the Jews is supposed to make this world into a perfect, beautiful, godly place. And it's not. It's not. And the reason that it's not is because the Jews aren't doing their job. That's what the Rebbe is saying. Or more exactly, one Jew isn't doing that job. And who's that Jew? Me. Everyone's supposed to say that to themselves. So therefore, we have to do something about it. And what are we supposed to do about it? We have to learn more Torah. We do have to do more commandments, but especially we have to have the attitude that we can't blame anybody else. The whole blame has to be on us. And therefore, that makes the situation a very bitter one, right? If we can blame everybody else, so then it's a lot easier, right? I don't have to do anything because he's at fault. He's at fault. So the Rebbe is trying to say, no, accept the blame on yourself. The reason that the world is so terrible is only because of one person, and that one person is yourself. And that you have to feel, have the proper attitude. Number one, take on yourself responsibility. And number two, you have to be bitter that the world is not the way it's supposed to be. Do something about it. Do something about it. Learn more Torah, pray. Okay, so and similarly is also the idea that my tears were bread. Who said this? My tears were bread. King David said it. Right? We said that yesterday in the Psalms. How it is that by means of bitterness, Tavka, only by means of bitterness. Let's make this bigger. 1 second. 1 minute. How it is that by means of bitterness, being bitter that the world is not the way it's supposed to be, it's like getting the big love of Aaron. Liot ayin be'ayin nireh. Eye to eye, we will see godliness. He calls all this, hakdama, this is a preparation, l'ba'er, to explain, haskil, and to understand the idea of lighting the lights in the holy temple. That's what this topic of this speech was. Hashem, just like oil. Okay, nowadays we don't have a holy temple, right? But as I said before, the temple was only there to help us serve God. The temple did not bring forgiveness for sins, and it did not bring, it did not replace our service of God. Not replace. It just helped. It added. It inspired. It was a partner to our service of God. And now that we don't have, but the main thing is our service of God. And now we don't have a temple, so we don't have the holy temple. We will have the third temple. Mashiach is going to build the third temple, but we don't have the third temple, so we have to do it on our own. Says the Rebbe, it's not really on our own. We have tzaddikim like the Rebbe, and they teach us what to do. They inspire us to let us know that it's possible to do it. So first of all, we cannot be satisfied, right? Like the Rebbe, they once went by a television crew. The Rebbe used to give out dollars every Sunday. A television crew from, I think it was BBC. They came in front of they passed in front of the Rebbe. The Rebbe gave them dollars. the reason the Rebbe would give dollars was to encourage people to give charity. Like I'm giving to you as you give to other people, right? Give this dollar or replace it with another dollar. And they said, they said to the Rebbe, are you happy? Are you happy? They said to the Rebbe. I mean, I'm sure you know, in Western culture, in America, I know that's what it is in America. The main thing, especially with Jewish children, right? The parents say, are you happy? The main thing is my son is happy, right? You have to be happy. Are you happy doing what you're doing? It doesn't make any difference, that much difference what you're doing. You have to be happy. I mean, it helps if my son is a lawyer or a doctor. That makes me happy also. But you don't want to be a lawyer. You want to be a whatever it is, a street sweeper. That makes you happy. Or worse than a street sweeper. So they asked the Lubavitcher Rebbe, are you happy? So the Rebbe said, yes, I am happy, but I am not satisfied. In other words, you always have to be happy with what you've got. You have to appreciate and be happy with what you've got. But you should never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. Especially spiritual. Being satisfied spiritually is a very not good thing. Especially when we see that we're here in the world to do something and we're not doing it. We're here to fix up the world. So that's what the Rebbe says. That's the whole idea of lighting the lights in the menorah in the temple. What was the menorah in the temple? What was it? The Kohen would go in. In this case, it was Aaron because there were no other Kohanim. So Aaron would go in and he would light the lamps. You had to light them every day. So what was the lamp? The lamp has in it a lamp, a metal lamp, and it has in it oil, and it has in it a wick. It has in it oil. So the main unusual thing in the lamp is the oil. The oil has to be special. It has to be the first drop of oil that comes from the olive. First drops of oil, pure oil has to be oil. Okay, but the olive has to be crushed. The olives have to be crushed. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried this before, but if you did, you'll be surprised. Olives can be very tasty. I don't particularly like olives, but olives can be very tasty. Olives can be tasty. So we had in front of our house an olive tree, and it had these beautiful purple olives on it. And I thought, wow, it would probably taste good. So I took one of the olives off. It was a little bit hard, but I figured, okay, and maybe that's how they are, naturally. I figured I'd give it a little bite. Bitter, terrible, just awful. Someone told me, no, you have to put it into salt, into what? You have to process it. You have to put it into salt and water, make it soft, whatever you have to do. I didn't really care because I don't like olives that much anyway, but olives are bitter. Olives are bitter. You ever see the picture of the sign of peace, the pigeon, the dove of peace, the white dove with a olive branch in its mouth? That's like the dove of peace that was let out from the ark of Noah. Right? Noah sent out a dove, and the dove came back with an olive. Torah It says he came back with a an olive. What is it? An olive branch, an olive leaf in its mouth. This is why, because it was a sign that the dove was saying, I don't want to receive from you anymore. I would rather have from my own. I would rather be in the world and find my own food, even if it's as bitter as an olive, rather than receiving for free in the Ark of Noah. That was the sign that the world was drying up. I could go and work, even though it's bitter. It says that's it. Olive is bitter. Just like oil. Kotatin, you crush first. Katit lamaor, it has to be crushed up for the menorah, for the illuminator. Bagam asui, and it is made. Bagam asui, and it is made. Next page, here we go. Mizaitim, from olives. The zaitim and olives are bitter. Also dahadlakas hamshachas ha'ava. Also this drawing down of love, karish based like a flaming fire, shalahevet, which comes from ria, from seeing. Now, liot chafetz begiloi elokusa, that you want to have revealed godliness in the world. This is Aaron. Okay, again, let's just take one step back over here. We said that Aaron was similar to Abraham in that both of them had love of God. Love of God is the essence of Judaism. Love of God is the essence of life. Love comes from seeing something that's very valuable. When you see how precious something is, especially it's precious to you, and it's in your grasp, precious, then you love that thing. You love that thing. You see a beautiful sunset, a beautiful picture, whatever, a beautiful baby or something like that. You see, oh, I love that, especially if that baby is your grandson or your child, you even love, even greater love. But it has to be something that you appreciate, that you love, right? And that love comes from a deep appreciation of something. You see how good that thing is, from good. The source of all good, of course, is God. God is creating everything, but even more, the reality of God, even before he's creating everything, not he's creating, the essence of what God is true existence, true reality. God is the source of all reality, and he cares about every detail in the world. When you feel how good God is himself, not just what God does, but God himself, how good it is, you feel this is an infinite, precious good that from that good is being created the whole world. It's not that when you realize how good God is, you want to get away from the world, you don't want to be married, you want to sit up on a mountain or something like that. You want to do that also. It'll keep you off the streets, at least when you won't make any trouble. But that's not the goal of life. The goal of life is supposed to be in the world and to do what God wants and to appreciate God. So that depends on the Jewish people. And that is the lesson we learned from Aaron, lighting the lamps to bring this love of God, the awareness of God, how good God is, into the world. So first of all, we have to have love for God. We have to chafetz, and we want to reveal godliness in the world. This is by means of oil, crushed oil. By means of humility. To be humble. Like it says, my soul is like dirt to everyone. How do you get your soul to be like dirt to everybody? What, everybody's going to walk all over me? I'm going to let everyone walk all over me? That's not good. There's whole big seminars you take that no one will walk over me. I'm going to be the top of the world, ma. You ever see the movie? Public Enemy #1. What was it? James Cagney. Great movie. Top of the world, right? He wants to get to the top. No one's going to walk over me. That's what the world says. If you're big, you get your picture in the paper, then you're really somebody. Says the Rebbe, you want to be good? It's not bad. That's not a bad thing to be good, to have your picture in the paper. It's not a bad thing. But you can't lose your humility. Don't think that just because you're successful, that you're God. God gave you a gift. He gave you a gift. But that gift is nothing more than a gift. It's only a gift. It's only a gift. Whatever you have is a gift. Your eyes are a gift. Your nose is a gift. Everything. When you think about this, when you think shiflus, about the humility, the lowness of the soul, how the soul came down from such a high place, how it is now that time and place and time, they are far away from the light of God's face. By means of this, you'll be bitter on the opposite. When you think of, my soul was in a place of pure life, pure good. And now what am I interested in? A few dollars, a few, whatever it is, claps of hands or something like that. That's my whole life. Dollars are not bad. People clapping their hands for you is not bad. But put it into its proper place. That's not ultimate value, ultimate meaning, is how successful I am. Right? You're never going to be on the top. And if you think about it for 1 second, the top is God. The top is your creator. And the only way you can really connect to this is by humility, by realizing that everything I have is a gift, because it's the truth. It's the truth. It's not just a trick you can, psychological trick in order to stop you from road rage or something. The fact of the matter is it's true. Everything we have and everything we are is a gift from God, but it's a gift from God. God wants me to have these things. He wants me to use all of my potential to make the world a better place. When you think about this, then you're bitter, first of all, that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And it activates you to just start doing what you're supposed to do. And it is like this. If it says, Yored al Zakan, this is in one of the Shir Hamalas. What is it? Psalm 133? Huh? Let's try it. Let's see. Something 33, I think. 130. Hold on a second, 1 minute. 130. Yes, 133. Very good. Psalm number 133. It's like the oil, like it says, Psalm 133. It says, like the oil, the good oil that is poured on the head, that it comes down, flows down the beard of Aaron, and it flows down on his garments. Okay, that's what King David said. By the way, if you read, it's a good thing to read the Psalms. Read the Psalms, even in English. Even the English is, it'll never be as inspiring as the Hebrew. But if you don't understand Hebrew, you'll see that you get a general idea of what's going on with King David and the Psalms. Most of them you can't understand at all. The Psalms, you can't understand. It's very, very difficult to understand. It's not as how do you say, not understandable as the Song of Songs of King Solomon. But still, here it says, here's an example, like the good oil on the head that flows down on the beard of Aaron, that it flows down on his garments. What's he talking about? The Zaken Aaron, this beard of Aaron, this is what's called Dikna de Kahana Rabbah. This is a Kabbalistic term used in the Zohar that's called the beard, it's Aramaic, the beard of the high priest. This is what's called the 13 tufts of the beard, which are the 13 attributes of mercy, the 13 methods by which the Torah is what the way the Torah is understood. The Torah itself is if you read the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, you can't really get very much out of it, except maybe the stories. But the commandments you can't get out of it. So God purposely gave the Torah the way it is, and he gave 13 principles by which you can interpret the Torah. So the 13 principles by which the Torah, that's also corresponds to the 13 attributes of mercy. Because we said before that the Torah enables it, the Torah, because the Torah is the wisdom of the essence of God, the wisdom and the essence of God. So therefore, learning the Torah keeps you in this state of yearning for godliness in the world. It reveals godliness in the world. Okay, so it says the beard of Aaron, that that's the 13 tufts of mercy. And what's the oil that comes down? We'll see. This level of the hairs of Aaron, these are the laws of the Torah. The laws of the Torah, they're called Ketzovatov Teltalim. These are what's called the hairs, which are braided hairs. This is drawing down revealed godliness from above to below, with tremendous detail. Case without any end. And now we have the oil. And the laws of the Torah comes down the oil. What's the oil? This is the upper wisdom of God, which comes down on it. So the Torah on its own is very dry. It doesn't seem to be godly at all. But our bitterness that we have, the godliness is not revealed in the world. That's the oil which is revealed in the Torah, which reveals it. Let's see where this ends. One moment. I should have looked this up before. I didn't notice that there was a. One second. Wait, we're just going to have to do this. 1 second. It's talking about the hairs. Okay, I guess either it's a printing error. I just don't see where the end of these parentheses are. Let's go. Okay. We can say like this, that the hairs, this is the emotions of God. Katsavav taltalos shachoros ka'orev. It says this is the language of the Song of Songs. The oil which is on them, this is the upper wisdom of God of Atzilut. Okay, now you have to understand these are all very high spiritual things, but everything was given to the Jewish people. The whole business, all this, the Torah and the whole business was only there for the Jewish people. God wants us to, so these are not things which are which are unachievable, exactly the opposite. God created all these upper worlds so that the Jewish people would be able to achieve them, to reveal them in the world. Okay, so we can also say like this. The intention is like this, these hairs of the 13 tufts of the beard, it's called Erech Anpin, like it says before. This is the beard of Aaron. This is mentioned twice. Zaken Aaron. It says twice. It says, it says, Kashemen Atov ala Rosh, Yord al Zaken Aaron, the beard of Aaron. Why does it say twice? So it says the twice. These hairs, they're yesh bo halal. Now hairs have a, what I guess they call it a fonicle, is it? The hairs themselves are hollow inside. That in this hollow hole in the hair is drawn, there's a little bit of life from the brain. Okay, now, according to Kabbalah, the hairs on your head and also the hairs on the beard, they come from intellect of the brain. It's called the extra intellect of the brain, like how do you say, leftovers. Therefore, you don't feel anything when you cut the hairs because it's just leftovers of intellect, leftovers of awareness. The brain there says here, the hairs themselves say momosri mochin. They are extra intellect. Therefore, yocholim lachtoch. Therefore, you can cut the hairs, and you don't feel them at all. It doesn't hurt your head at all. Nimshal, this is understood spiritually. These levels of the high hairs, the beard of Aaron, these are called garments, like the idea of a mashal. A mashal, shabov al yodom masiging a nimshal. Okay, what do we say? The hairs, it's talking about this, the God was sitting on a throne with this. He said he had a beard, and the hairs of his beard, it's talking about God. So God has hairs. So the hairs of God, that's levels of awareness of God. But it's awareness of God. It's like a garment. What's a garment? It says, I'll give you an example of a garment in intellect, and that is a mashal. A mashal is like, what do you call it? An example, a parable, right? So let's say somebody says, I want to understand what is honesty. What's honesty? So you say, you don't know what honesty is? No, I don't know what honesty is. It means if you find something, you give it back. That's honesty. That's you just give it back. Why is that honesty? He says, okay, I'll give you a mashal. But once there was a man, you tell him a whole story. Now I understand what honesty is, right? He had a chance to steal money and no one would catch him, but he felt bad, so he was being honest, right? He went to a store and the person working at the store gave him a $10 bill instead of a $1 bill, and he gave it back. He said, that's honest, and I understand. Now he begins to understand this idea, general idea of honesty from the mashal. A mashal is the example. So both of them are intellect. That from the mashal, that's like the hairs. That's like the hairs themselves. And there's the nimshal. The nimshal, that's like the life force which comes from the brain. Okay, so this whole world is a big mashal for God. The world is a big example of what God is. You understand what God is? No, I don't understand what God is. Okay, if you look at the world, you see there's things that happen in the world that are totally not understandable, right? Not understandable. You can say that it's nature. Yes, you can say it's nature. Just things happen in nature, that's all. Or you can say that something godly is going on, right? Something godly is going on. Why do squirrels protect their young? Why do this? Why, how do they know how to build a nest? You could say that they've learned it through billions of years of evolution. Yeah, you can say that. But you can also say, listen, this is a big miracle. How do they know how to do it? How do they pass this down from one to another? Somehow or other, God implanted in them the desire to survive. Right? Implanted in them the desire to survive. Sometimes you probably implanted in them that a beaver makes his home in the water, and a squirrel makes it in the tree, and a bird makes it on a branch. Right? You could say this is a miracle. So he says it's a miracle. All of a sudden you get an idea. Maybe this is from God. Then you get a little of an example. The world becomes a mushal of the Torah is also called mashal hakamoni. The Torah is called also a mashal. It's like called an example of what godliness is. And what you think that God is this big white light or something like that, or a big man sitting on the throne, God is infinitely, infinitely more complicated and more involved in the world that you can possibly imagine. On the other hand, God is infinitely more one than you can possibly imagine. How this world comes from God's oneness, that's a big miracle. That we don't understand that. It says, therefore, God gives all these examples in the world. All this, like we said before, we want the essence of God to be revealed in the world. So we see why every detail is here. Similarly, we can also understand with the Torah. The Torah is like the hairs of God. The Torah is also called Mashal HaKadmoni. The Torah is also called Mashal. It's the first example. Pirush, what does it mean? That it is a Mashal. The Torah is just a example. It's like a metaphor and a garment for the Kadmon Shalom of God, who is called the prime existence. The first existence. So just like by means of giving an example, you can understand the thing you're trying to get to, then what's called the nimshal, the result. Kach, also by means of the Torah, we can understand the infinite light of God, which is God is the Kadmon Shalom. That's what it means that the laws of the Torah, they are hairs themselves. What does it mean they are hairs? It means to say, the Torah is called the first example from God. The Yesh Aleim, and there is on the Torah, Shemen HaTov, the good oil. What's the good oil? The good oil is the awareness that the laws of the Torah come from God. This is what's called the God's wisdom, or Ein Sof Baruch Hu Mamash, Mibechinas Kadmon Shalom, that these laws come from the prime existence of the world, the prime existence before the world. Kadmon, before the world existed, there was God, and that's where the Torah comes from. So that's what's called Chachma of Adam Kadmon, a spiritual level, or Chachma of Atik Yomin, another spiritual level. The highest of the high possible levels of spiritual, which are even higher than spiritual, before the spiritual, pre-spiritual levels. This is from the wisdom of Atik, the wisdom from the essence of God that's drawn into the laws of the Torah. Okay, so in other words, the Torah is a book in the library, like any other book, right? And when you read the Torah, you can understand the laws of the Torah just like you can understand any book. And the Torah is one of the religions. Judaism is one of the religions of the world. Ostensibly, that's what it seems to be, right? Says the Rebbe, but it's not so. God gave the Torah in the world. God creates the world also. The whole world is an amazing creation. The Torah is also a gift from God. We can say the Torah is not a creation. The Torah is a part of the emanation of God. You can call it the emanation of God. But still, it's part of the world. It's in the world. It's a regular thing. You can use the Torah, Torah book like anything else. Like any other novel, right? You can read the Torah. But, says the Rebbe, when you realize that the Torah comes from the essence of God, and that God did give the Torah at Mount Sinai, and that God is giving the Torah to us, that's the oil. That's the bitterness. You feel how bitter I am that I thought that the Torah was a book like any other book. I thought that the world was like meaningless, totally. It's just here. That becomes the good oil that comes down on them. Saros Atzma, then the laws of the Torah themselves, which are called the 13 tufts of the beard of Erech Anpin. Erech Anpin is a level of godliness, the external level of the crown of God. Hein bechinas chitzonius, they are the inside. The penimius and the inside, this is the oil. So the laws, therefore, they become the outside, and the inside, that's the oil. The oil of the Torah, the oil of godliness is drawn into the commandments. Penimius, that's what's called Atik Yom, that's the inside. So the laws of the Torah, that's the outside of God's essence, and the wisdom, the life force, the fact that it comes from God, that's the inside of God's essence. Okay, so that's what the Torah is. That's what the Torah is. The Torah is the essence of God, but how God puts it into the world in I want to call it a contracted way, a constricted way, a concealed way. So we have to draw down the inside of the. That's, by the way, why it's possible that if, God forbid, a Jew transgresses the whole Torah, so you can do tshuva. Tshuva means you regret it. You ask God for forgiveness, then you get to the oil of the Torah. That's the source of the Torah, which is higher. And that cleans off all the past, all the bad sins. But it's not so easy to get this oil unless you have the outside as well. The Inyan, when we said that the oil is drawn down because of the olives, and the olives are bitter, because the olives, they are what's called someach. The olives are plant life. And plant, that's like the hairs themselves. That's the 13 attributes of mercy. That's the idea of someach. Hairs are like they grow, right? That's all they have. Therefore, where does the oil come from? The oil comes also from vegetables, from vegetation, like the hairs are vegetation. Therefore, the olives are bitter. Kikena sarot, also the hairs themselves, the laws, they are what's called din. They are the severities of God. The laws. You have to do exactly like this. Exactly, that's the laws of God. I thought God was infinite. How can God say you have to put a box on one arm and a box on your head? Right? You have to keep Shabbos exactly this time when Shabbos comes. All these laws. It says because the laws of the Torah, they're like the olives. They're very bitter. They're very, how do you say, narrow. Compared to the inside, the godliness which is in them. Just like hairs, the hairs of the beard, the dikna, that they are, it says, tekifin bakashim. The hairs are very, very limited. Right? The hairs of a beard are nothing like the person himself. Right? Therefore, v'kein, the halachas of Torah, and the laws of the Torah, they have all sorts of very strict laws. Like it says that the tufts of the beard are what is it, wound, and they're black like a crow. That's what King Solomon says. Even though that be'erech anpin, in this aspect of erech anpin, and the source of the laws, it says that they are white snow. It says that there's like a white beard, like white snow, and that they're old. But in order to draw down the laws of the Torah from their source, which is pure kindness, pure good, to draw them down, this is only by means of a person has to taste bitterness in his soul from the darkness which is concealed, which conceals. The source of it comes from these garments which are in the essence of God. Then, by means of this, afterwards, you can merit to the inside of the laws. So first of all, a person has to be bitter that he's far away from God. You can't be satisfied that you learn the Torah and the Torah is good. The Torah is very satisfying if you learn it. But when you think that the Torah comes from godliness and you have no feeling what godliness is, that makes you bitter. And from the bitterness, that's like crushing the olives. And that produces oil. That's like the Shemin HaTov, like the good oil. That's this upper wisdom that God has mercy on you. And God shines down this wisdom of his on you when you make yourself into nothing, so to speak. From all this, now we can understand what we said before. Ki tishma b'kol Hashem. No. Another, okay. Because penimis amalubash b'tocha kol the Torah. You have to listen in the voice of God. Ki tishma, when you listen in the voice of God, that's the Torah. The Torah is the voice of God, but you have to listen in the voice of God. What's b'tocha kol, inside of what the Torah is. That's the idea of the oil, which is bitter, which is the essence of Chachma, but it comes down by crushing the bitter olives. Simply speaking, what we're talking about is a person has to realize how good the world is supposed to be when God is revealed here, and feel how terrible it is now. And even though we have to be happy with what we've got, because everything we have is a big miracle, but we can never be satisfied with the world the way it is. The world is supposed to be infinitely more healthy and happy and meaningful and blessed than it is now. And it all depends on us. Our feeling this bitterness draws a little bit of light into the world, as we're going to continue, God willing, tomorrow. Okay, now let's do the Yom Yom.